off your engine!
Willie Smith says, Scotty, I have an Acura 2010, 80,000 miles. Honda Fit 2010, 392,000 miles. Toyota Camry 2009, 290,000. My neighbor wants to trade all three for a Mercedes GL 450 with 110. Is it smart or stupid? It's about the dumbest thing you could possibly do. Trade three decent vehicles for one endless money pit. Those Mercedes GL 450s are one of the biggest money pits ever built. Plus, it's got 110,000 miles on it. Truthfully, I could pick up a car like that all day long in Houston for $5,000 tops. Nobody wants those things. They're endless money pits at that mileage and that age. And the other ones, hey, they got high mileage, but they're still running. They're much better made Japanese vehicles. Stick to what you got. Your neighbor's trying to rip you off. Ogurtsov says, hey, has anyone experienced a problem with the rattling sound from Toyota engines? Happens at low speed, 5 to 15 miles per hour. Well, yes, if you do not maintain them correctly and change their oil enough, many times the timing chain will get worn and rattle, or they have a problem with the variable valve timing, which is connected to the timing chain and makes the valves variable. This is something that I've warned people about for years with any cars. Don't listen to any of the crap they give you. Oh, you can change your oil every 10 or 15,000 miles. If you change your oil every 5,000 miles, you're not going to have problems. Oil is cheap. Engines cost a fortune. If yours only does it at low speeds and then goes away, odds are it is. Either the chain's worn or the variable time is making noise. Go to any mechanic or make a video, post it to me, I can listen to it. And if you do want to fix it and you need variable valve timing because you didn't change the oil enough, it's going to cost you thousands of dollars to fix it. That's why you change your oil all the time. Now, if it only does when you start it right up and within 30, 40 seconds it stops, it's probably what it is. But I've had customers drive them years that way and they still run with a Toyota. So, it's up to you. Christian says, Mansky says, hey, Scotty, I got a Dieselgate 2014 Jetta TDI with manual tranny. What do you think about it? I'm not a Volkswagen fan. They have a lot of plastic stuff. They have a lot of nonsense things on it, but that's a diesel. And they make great diesel engines that can last a long time. I got a customer who's got 350,000 miles on his and still runs fine. So if you can buy one of those cheap, hey, might not be a bad deal. They do run a long time, those little bitty diesel engines. But of course, they're diesels, they smell, you got to deal with all that stuff. Eventually, they might even make them illegal because they pollute so much. Alex Jester says, my 91 VW Polo won't idle right. Cleaned everything, changed the spark plugs, but it didn't work. There are so many reasons a vehicle won't run right. But on those, first of all, check for vacuum leaks. I got a video finding engine vacuum leaks with a cigar. Watch that. You get a vacuum leak, it's not going to idle right. Also watch how to change motor mounts on your car. Shows you how you can jack up the motor, see if any of the mounts are broken. If the mounts are broken, it isn't going to idle right. And of course, that thing's old as the hills. The fuel injector could just be dirty. I got a video how to clean fuel injectors without removal. Watch that. I got thousands of videos with 1 billion views on them, so there's plenty of stuff that you can watch, and you can try all that. And then pray that it's not something like a blowing head gas, because it's so old. Could be that too, but try the obvious things first. Paul Fortuna says, hey, Scotty, what do you think of station wagons back in the day? Yeah, when I was a kid in the 60s, everybody had a station wagon. We had a Ford station wagon. My father bought used for like $900. It was a great car. It had a V8 engine in it. You could fit the whole family in the back. Everybody had the station wagon, but now they're SUVs taken over from station wagons. But if you look closely, a lot of these SUVs are starting to look like station wagons, and they're just calling them SUVs, And they're smaller because everything's getting small. They stopped making the Toyota Matrix, and now years later they're making the Toyota Corolla hatchback. It's a bit of the Matrix. They just brought it back. Gave it a different name. What's in the name? Anyways, there's still a few station wagons. I mean, Buick had a station wagon, but they stopped this year. They don't make anymore, but it wasn't a Buick. It was an Opel, but they don't import that anymore either. Everybody's making SUVs to make money. And basically, they're just shorter, modified station wagons when you really think about it. The Dragon Report says, please read this one. My family has an '08 Dodge Grand X ST with 200,000 miles. With the original engine automatic tranny, never changed the fluid. How is this possible? You got lucky and you probably drive really slow. They were one of the worst vehicles ever made in terms of automatic transmissions, but like they say, even a broken clock tells the right time twice a day. You got lucky, and you got maybe one of the only ones that was solid built, and you probably babied it. The problem that a lot of people have with the Dodges are they make more powerful engines. They're into speed. And so if you're a hard driver, the transmissions will burn out because the transmissions are weaker than the engines. But on the other hand, if you drive slow, yeah, I got a customer with one of those. It's got 300,000 miles on it, and it's still going. You never know. But the vast majority of them, no. They went through a bunch of automatic transmissions, or when they broke, they just said, I'll never buy another one of these, and they bought a Toyota instead. So anything's possible in rare instances. Trevor Kane says, Scotty, what are your thoughts on an older Ford Ranger as a first truck? Not a bad idea, you know. They're, especially if it's a 4-cylinder one, there's less moving parts than a V6. And if it's a standard transmission, even more so. They could be decently reliable little pickup trucks. There's nothing wrong with them. You know, a Toyota's going to last 2 to 3 times as long, but you're going to pay 4 to 5 times as much generally for a used Tacoma versus a used Ranger. Same thing I tell people. Nissan Frontiers are okay pickup trucks. They're kind of equivalent to the Ford Rangers, that they can still last quite some time, and you can get used ones so much cheaper. And you're talking about an older one, you might get a good deal on one that doesn't have that many miles. Tom Dudley, and he says, Scotty, my 2017 Kia Sportage, 63,000 miles, smokes while it accelerates. I noticed it following my wife. It's grayish smoke. She'll listen to Scotty and not bought a Kia in the first place. They're cheaper made. Gray smoke, it's burning a little bit of oil. Now, pray that if you change the PCV valve, the positive crankcase ventilation valve, that'll stop it. It could stop it. If it doesn't, it means your engine's burning oil because, guess what? Kias don't make engines as well as Toyota and Honda. Piston rings wear out faster. Valve seals wear out faster. Pray it's just the PCV valve, because if it isn't, just live with it, and as the oil burns, it might not do that much. Maybe it'll burn a quart of oil every 1,000 miles or something. Just keep adding the oil. Don't rebuild the engine. It's too much money. Grant Cox says, my wife's 92 Chevy C2500 truck has an issue where after it heats up, the transmission slips whenever the torque converter starts to lock up. The gears are strong under the load. Alrighty then. Well, you know, I mean, that's a 92. If it just starts to slip as it warms, it means your transmission's just flat wearing out, or the torque converter itself is wearing out. And more often it's the transmission, because if the torque converter was wearing out, it would actually slip more when it's cold. So odds are that 92 is just the transmission's wearing out. Now, if you want to try something, and I've had great luck with those old things, Lucas Automatic Transmission Fix, the old-fashioned one, the thick one, not the modern thin one, but the old-fashioned thick one. Take a quart of transmission fluid out, put a quart of that in. I've seen it stop slipping. Try that. But it's so old, odds are some point in time it's going to be needing a rebuild, but I did that to a customer a couple years ago and it stopped slipping entirely, so what the heck. Larry 17 says, I got 2012 Ford Focus. My passenger side low beam headlamp will not work. I put another bulb in. It still won't work. Took it to a mechanic. He said a part called the body control module is bad. It's a computer part. He's got to buy and reprogram it. Can I do anything else to fix it with? Well, yes, you can. Now, you say that the passenger side doesn't work. So I'm assuming that means the driver's side does work. So what you can do is you can go to the driver's side where the power goes to. That one's working. You can splice in a wire and a relay there and run the power from there to the other side, and it will work. Now, you want to have, if you don't know how to put a relay in, pay another mechanic, say, I want a power wire and a relay run to the other side, and they'll do it for you. It's not that hard to do. I can get relays for $10 at AutoZone that'll work. They're just generic relays. And what you're doing is you're taking the power on the working one and sending it to the other, and you're bypassing the body control module that operates that. That's the one advantage. When you got a dual system, you can always wire it off of the other side. Let's say you got one brake light that works and the other doesn't. And if you find out the computer module is bad, you can just use the one that works, run a wire with a relay to the other one, and go that way. And if you're really in a hurry and you don't care, you could run it off of the driver's side that works with just a wire and like a 10 amp fuse. If you wanted. It's safer with a relay, but it's an old junk you don't care. You could just run a wire and a 10 amp fuse, and if anything weird went wrong, it would blow the 10 amp fuse. You can even put a 5 amp fuse in if you wanted. You could bypass it. You don't necessarily have to buy that computer part. DC Computer Solutions says, so many people in the world with so many problems. This is better than watching TV. It's better than watching TV. I started on CBS TV cranking up with Scotty, and hey, you know, that's one way. This is two-way. This is really two-way. This isn't make-believe. I'm live. I am answering questions around the entire planet using my S10 phone that's over there. I can't use the phone for the questions because there's so many people asking questions they just flip through like mad. But hey, there's nothing better than you can get answers from an expert live for free any place on the planet with YouTube. You can't beat that. That's what the internet was made for. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.